Kathy, what's happening on the forum that we should know about? Cat got your tongue?
We had a discussion this week about Adam and Eve, and the whole thing with when Adam ate the fruit, he was doing it because he loved Eve and didn't want her to go do what he wouldn't be able to do.
Well, he obviously believed God when God said, you should surely die. And, of course, they didn't know what that meant. What did they know about dying? The only thing they could have known about dying was when God killed some animals and made clothing out of the animals. So they saw those animals die, and they saw their blood go out, and they saw that they no longer were running around. So they did have a concept of what death really did mean, But it's still pretty hard to relate to yourself, see? Because, we have a higher consciousness than the animals, But Paul says in Timothy that he was not deceived. He knew what he was doing. Go ahead.
Okay, well then after God confronted him with it, then the whole thing was that he blamed Eve for it. He didn't stand up like a man and take his medicine.
Right.
He blamed Eve.
Sure.
And so he wasn't showing the kind of love that it indicated when he was, eating fruit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, of course, that's typical, I mean, all of the great men of the patriarchs, they all had their weaknesses. Sometimes we aren't told specifically what they are, but you can be assured they had them. When Abraham went down to Egypt, his wife was apparently somewhat of a looker. I mean, she must have been knock dead gorgeous. He just knew that if the Pharaoh laid eyes on her, he'd want her, and he'd say, oh, she's married. Well, not after we kill her husband, she ain't married. See? So he said to his wife, he said, tell him you're my sister. See? I mean, total cop-out. So he was willing to, allow his wife to enter fornication with this king to save his neck, rather than to say, hey, she's my wife, you keep your hands off. And then let Pharaoh say, okay, you're a dead man. But anyway, that's a good point. Anyone else have anything to contribute here?
I'm not so sure that Adam was actually blaming his wife. I know you can read.
Well, I was going to suggest that too.
Get that impression, but I don't.
It is not. You're right. It's not exactly a total blame. He gave the reason, and the reason was true.
Right. The
reason was true, but I could still have to side a little with Kathy and what some of the others may have said on the forum. It was somewhat of a cop out, but it was true. It was absolutely true what he said. She ate, she gave it to me. The woman, she persuaded me that there was something to do, and I did it. Was he deceived, though, as Eve was? No, he was not. Paul said he plainly was not deceived, but he was willing to go along with it. And that certainly had to show love, and the fact that he did not want to go on without Eve. Whatever her lot in life was, he was going to join her. If you're going to take down my wife, you can take me down with her.
Any of us would have done the same thing.
Sure we would have. Yeah, right. And of course, Christendom doesn't believe that, and they won't teach that. It's an amazing thing how people pretend that there's a God. They talk about a God, they pretend there really is a God, and that his IQ is well over 137. And then they talk and act and teach like this God is the most stupid person or being that could ever live. Total contradicts himself, has no clue as to what he's doing, what the outcome will be, gets angry and upset, throws over the apple cart, then repents for throwing a temper tantrum. They actually believe God is like that. My brother Jack is. My brother Jack told me on the telephone one day, he said, well, God really lost it there. It was one place where he lost it. Well, of course, where he says he repented, it's always from man's perspective. It's just like when he said, when Adam and Eve hid themselves, and he said, Adam, where are you? I don't know where you are. Because if you're behind me, I can't see you because I only have eyes in the front of my head. It's another thing. You don't understand. Every doctrine of Christendom is unscriptural. Every doctrine. I heard, what's his name? Kenneth Copeland one day saying, God Almighty is a man. Of course, it says twice in the Bible, God is not a man. But God is a man. He's about 6'2". And he has eyes in the front of his head. Now, you know what that means. You can't see behind you. If God has eyes in the front of his head, then I contend that he cannot see behind him. It's total foolishness. It's more than foolishness. It's blasphemy. So they think, that God is stupid. He does things and it's a mistake. He says, well, let me see if I can correct it. Then he makes bigger errors yet. You see? Gets worse. Keeps getting worse. Keeps getting worse. We like Sodom and Gomorrah today, only more of it. More widespread.